We'll start from scratch. Now we got to run through.
There we go.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the GNSD podcast. We just did this 5 minutes ago, but we lost all the footage.
It's my fault.
So welcome back. Welcome back. Now we're going to do it even better than before.
That's my fault.
We've all introduced ourselves before. You know who we are. But our topic for the day is D&D, or Dungeons and Dragons. So let's go ahead, everybody. We're going to roll initiative, and I'm going to start off with you, Dayaan. Give us your D&D experience.
So D&D for me was kind of like anime growing up. I never really understood it. I didn't know where to start with it. I was saying earlier before I ruined the podcast that you really need someone to kind of usher you into it, kind of hold your hand through like learning about all this stuff. So I started like seeing D&D, like examples of D&D in shows like Freaks and Geeks, Stranger Things being like a more recent one. But it would like my friends would kind of talk about it a lot. And it just didn't super appeal to me because I was never really into fantasy or anything like that. But as our friends here will probably say, that you can do more than just fantasy. It could be about anything. But it's the whole role-playing bit where you have to kind of voice your own character, give it its own personality, just never really appealed to me. I found it like kind of cringe. But yeah.
Now you're a goose.
Now I'm a goose. But we'll find out more about that as we go.
Yeah, we'll go into depth.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Greg.
Oh, okay. Well, you know me. I got the most experience here, I guess. I'm the veteran DM master, as it was. You know, I'm very cool, and I've played a lot. No, I didn't play that much, but we played in middle school. I was first exposed to it because I had a really, really nerdy friend who invited me to play Star Wars D&D, and I was like, sure. Even as a kid, I was like, this is so nerdy. But you know, it was in closed doors, so I was like, who can make fun of me? And he was a cool guy, and we had fun. It was pretty cool. It was just enjoyable, kind of to go back to your roots and play kind of like imagination, but like on a higher level of like difficulty, basically. So instead of like, I can just imagine my way at anything, I'll just summon whatever. Oh no, I have a shield. It's like, oh no, this guy.
Yeah.
If someone was a referee there, be like, no, you can't just do anything you want.
Like,
there's rules. You know, it's fun. And it makes it more like a game, so it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But so that was fun, and it kind of goes the gateway into like we kind of tried it in high school at one point. My group of friends, we didn't really know anyone. We just kind of learned on our own, just by Googling, and like we downloaded everything for free because we're a bunch of assholes. Didn't want to buy anything, and yeah, we just played for ourselves, and we kind of probably did it wrong for about a couple of years, and then we slowly just we think we were doing it better, but it was mostly about having fun. Because for me, it was more about like the social experience and just hanging out with friends. And again, you're doing that childhood game of imagination, but it's more adult, and you feel it's just fun. It goes to like a primary kind of, you know, thing everyone enjoys doing somewhat. You want to just have a different experience. But yeah, it was a good time, and you know, now we're still hanging out now.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Nick, how about you?
Well, I have no experience with D&D whatsoever. I always I heard about it, but never really went after it. But even, you know, as a kid, you wanna have fun and expand your imagination and have, you know, sticks, use them as swords, beat the shit out of your brother with them, you know, because he's a foul beast or whatever. But we had some guys in school who would play. I mean, kind of just play on their own, but they would only be like one or two, and you didn't really hear much about it. So, never really had any exposure to it growing up or anything like that. So, it is what it is. But it does look somewhat enjoyable.
Ooh,
as long as we don't get too, like Vela said, I don't want to get too into the role playing of, I'm not going to make a certain voice. I'm not going to try to talk Elvish or whatever.
I think it really depends on the DM. If you have a really dickhead DM who's just Dungeon Master, just trying to control everyone and like have it be super strict.
Very
Again,
scripted.
Depends on what tone you want. Like maybe some people want that. They want that. I want complete, get me out of reality. I want everything. A lot of time, I think most people want a casual experience. They just want to kind of enjoy themselves. You know, do a little fun social interaction. So that's what.
Do as you drink or something like that.
Yeah, and drink it
absolutely.
It's great.
Absolutely.
Nick saw a little bit of I think about a quarter of the footage from our little campaign that we were doing, and he really
before we get to
it.
that. Yeah. Before we get to that, I'll talk about first my D&D experience.
Oh, sorry.
And then I'll talk about what D&D is for those of us, or Dungeons and Dragons is for those that have no idea what the hell we're talking about. So to start with my experience, I've like a lot of other things, like, you know, anime or like Magic the Gathering, things like that. Like, they're all things I would have loved as a child, but I apparently never heard they existed until adulthood. So like,
that's a good example.
yeah, like you know, it's all. So I am like super into D&D now as an adult. Like when I first got exposed to it, like watching like the D&D podcasts or like the shows that are on like YouTube and stuff like that. So I've played a couple games with Greg and some of my other friends and whatnot, and I've DM'd a little bit. It's like what Dayaan was just talking about. Our most recent session we did with just a couple friends, and I was DMing for that one. So that was definitely pretty fun. So just sort of some background on what Dungeons and Dragons is it's essentially a role-playing game with your friends that kind of piggybacks off of your imagination, but then also uses dice as a means of sort of controlling the fate of how certain actions go. So for instance, like, and there's a bunch of rules and stuff. We're using Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition right now, which is basically the rule set of sort of what goes and what doesn't, like how to, you know, the bounds in which we play. But there's really no limit to what you can do. So for instance, like if you want to, you know, run across the room and tackle someone, there's like, you roll the dice and that determines whether you like hit them with a, like, you know, 20-foot tackle and launch them into the air, or you trip on a pebble and, you know, fall flat on your face.
You could say there's certain limitations, like there is like a limited amount of speed and like movement you can do, but again, based on DM and all that stuff, you can play it as loosely as you want.
So there's like, you know, in general, there's like your character has stats. Like imagine like you're playing any other game, like you know, MMORPG or anything like that. Yeah, you've got your health, you've got your, you know, amount of spells that you can use per day or per rest. You got your attack, you've got your what you can carry, you've got your money, and then there's different ability scores for, like, you know, this is whenever you do a check for, like, you know, dodging out of the way, you get to add this to your dice roll or something like that. So those are your modifiers that you get to add. So it's a game like that, and there's a lot of different technicalities to different pieces of the game that do kind of act as a gateway to getting into it, where there's a little bit of a learning curve to get into Dungeons and Dragons. It's nowhere near as intense as it was maybe like 10 or 15 years ago.
They definitely softened it up.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to get into now, to the point where you can like click 3 buttons and start playing, like some of us were able to do a few weeks ago.
Which makes it a lot more accessible for people like me, who are very uninitiated.
And we're also living in like different parts of the country, and the great thing is that over the internet they have, you know, apps and things you can use and to then make it all come together and have a chat room, and then it works out. I mean, all you really need is just to talk to each other, because you just need communication. I mean, the base level D&D is there's no board. You just have dice, and the guy, the DM, has to explain everything in detail. He just uses words, and it's all up in the, you know, in your brain.
Building worlds for you.
Yeah, which is, again, that might be the biggest like detriment nowadays to most people, because they're like too ADD or whatever. They don't want to deal with that.
Yeah. It reminds me of like MUDs or like text-based adventure games. I don't know if you guys ever played one of those.
Yeah, old
like,
school.
You see a pathway and you like look west, and it'll tell you see this shit as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and definitely one of the enjoyable things about like being a dungeon master or being the DM, basically the storyteller, in Dungeons and Dragons, is that it's almost like writing a book, but you have no idea what the main character is going to do.
Yeah.
So it's like you basically writing the book around the main character's actions, but you don't get to control what they do, and that's kind of what a lot of like DMs try to do in these kind of games. Because it's like, you know, might set it up so the character's like, oh, well, there's a nice big fancy building in front of you with this great door, and the dude's like, all right, I'm gonna go that way, away from it.
It's a mix of like fantasy and like what you want to do with it, and then also improv, which is interesting. And that's why when I watch a YouTube channel called Funhouse. They're pretty funny. They're a bunch
Funhouse is great.
They do a bunch of let plays. They play a lot of video games, but they also went into like board games and D&D a little bit. And they, of course, they were natural at it because they're very good at improv. They're very good at speaking on their feet and everything. So it was hilarious. Loved it. So great. And I wish I was that kind of like wit and cleverness, because when we do like funny stuff, it's mostly out of like just goofy scenarios kind of thing. But yeah, I wish I could be like that comedian because they are, my God, impressive.
And I think the improvisation is a huge part of it, and especially like what we were talking about earlier, how you don't really have to be super invested into like the role playing aspects of D&D. Like, you could be yourself. You could talk about yourself in third person. You don't have to be like, oh, it's me, Hrothgar, the mace slaying, fucking orc from.
Which you could make funny.
Whatever.
You could go that way.
Yeah, you could totally do that if you want to. Yeah, exactly. So it's like you can get as into your character as you want. You can be as serious or as goofy as you want. It's just really like, you just talk to people beforehand and you're like, okay, hey, like I just want to have a fun campaign or whatever. Like, oh, that's great. So do we. So there really is no like wrong way to play, as long as you're having fun. If you're not having fun, I'm assuming you're playing it wrong. Because it's really, the game is meant to be fun because you're making up the game essentially. Like there are like rules and bounds within which to play the game, but the dungeon master is kind of like the sayer of all essentially. They get to say like, okay, the umpire, yeah, like you get to say, all right, yeah, I'll let you break the rules because that sounds fucking sweet. Like you want to be a goose? Hell yeah, go for it. Yeah, make it work, but great, that's awesome.
Yeah,
for sure.
So that's kind of, and it brings a lot of like, that little extra stuff, because, it's like playing Monopoly for the 50th time, right? We've all played Monopoly. We're sick of fucking Monopoly. Yeah, it's like we don't want to play it for the 50th time. We all know how that game works, but in a game like this, it's like every time is different, right?
Yeah.
There's no setting. There's no like, yeah. So I guess I'll pass off to Dayaan, and whatever you were talking before I interrupted you before. So go ahead and continue. We were saying about our session.
Oh, right. So speaking towards what Steve was talking about, you can literally be anybody as long as your DM isn't a dick. I wanted to be a goose. I was questioned a lot about, okay, there's no race called goose. Like, yeah, there is. Because I want to be a goose.
It's like, yeah, you could be a bird person, Bella. That works, right? No, I want to be a goose.
No, I want to be a goose. So, I made my stat sheet. Actually, my good friend Webb, also my mod on Twitch, he made my stat sheet for me. And literally, you can see my goose, as far as height goes, is a regular goose, 20 pounds. And yeah, I was kind of like building this character as we went on. And in my opinion, he was a hit.
Yeah, no. And it's like, it adds an interesting dynamic, because then it's like, okay, well now there's a talking goose in the campaign. Maybe, oh look, that chef wants to try to eat him. Like, he looks delicious,
Yeah, well, it was funny because like, I know you were DMing for us, and I know that you're not like the most experienced, because I mean we've only done like a couple or whatever. But
yeah.
So my character was just like a dick gnome basically, and my plan was to make him like kind of like a sarcastic asshole and eat everything. Yeah, Pierre Mons, everyone's knows.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was like, you would not exactly react normally to a goose speaking to you. You were sort of like acting like a normal character. I'm like, so me, it was like, yeah, by the way, this is a goose. Like
every new person we met in the campaign was like, oh yeah, we have a talking goose too. I was like, hello.
You talking like, oh yeah, okay, that's fine. It's like, they were like, okay, which was funny in its own right. I mean, it was
like a goose for sale. Yeah.
Like, how serious could you take it? It was good.
Oh, yeah. I haven't even begun to flap my wings.
Oh my.
Then we were killing people, and you were goose pecking their brains out and stuff. It was great.
Yeah. I fit my entire gooseneck up this guy's asshole. Because I also had, it was one of my skills, bean foraging, which came into use at that point. So, extra loot.
Oh my god.
There you go. Does this sound fun, Nick?
I did make him roll for it, I promise.
He made me roll for it.
Yeah, and he rolled really well, and much
I got right up in there. I'm talking like,
yeah. It was a critical. It was a critical roll right there.
I critical this poor thug's butthole, dude.
Yeah. Oof.
That was a fun game too, because I was constantly trying to like fight the system. I was constantly, my character's plan was just to not let the plot progress.
This goose was doing it already.
Yeah. I knew how this was gonna go, because the first roll was Dayaan as a goose trying to seduce the dwarven bartender with a dance, and he rolled a natural 20.
No, you should explain what a natural 20 is.
Oh, so okay, so all right, so a natural 20. So we roll a 20-sided die, or a d20, whenever you make a generic check in Dungeons and Dragons. Greg is holding one up right now. It's a dodecahedron, 20-sided die. And if you roll a 20...
So that person is a dodecahedron.
Dodecahedron. But if you roll a 20, that's called a natural 20, which is basically a crit. So it's a really good roll, right? Because it's a 1 in 20 chance. It's the highest value you can get. Whenever you do like attacks, if you're doing an attack roll, if you roll a natural 20, you double your damage, things like that. So it's like really good. So normally, whenever you roll a natural 20, almost everything you try to do works. Except if you're a goose trying to seduce
That's bullshit.
a dwarven lady.
That's why I was not happy with the
Understand the intrinsic, complicated mating rituals of geese.
If someone crits, you almost, this is my philosophy.
You kept shutting me down with my crits.
You have to always give them success, whatever the
Yeah.
consequence. But the problem is you could just roll for anything at any moment and just try to like do the dumb shit. But
It was the RP stage.
It would just be
Right.
funny. It'd be like, you've
Don't
now
worry.
an awkward situation between you, his wife, and the cook. Like,
Yeah.
like, it would have been really funny.
Don't worry. Olga's gonna leave her husband and go for you.
Yeah,
at the very end. At the very end, it takes time to set in. The mating ritual is like the beginning.
Goose stick thick, my man. Also, I should say, I've also accidentally clicked on start streaming, so we are live on my channel right now as well. So we may have questions. Yes, Spider Boy, I am a crazy man. If you have any questions while we're talking, let me know and I'll read them out.
No. But yeah, that was
Fair
a good time. So, Nick, would you play with us with the goofy shenanigans, or how would you?
Yeah,
do
of course. That's about the only way I would play.
Do you have any idea how you would want to be? What would your character be?
Okay,
I want to get into this.
Me being a big brute, I thought about going the complete opposite, like soft and well-mannered,
Ooh.
but like peacekeeping with a bit of attitude.
So where would, in the alignment scale, where would he stand?
So the alignments they start off. There's lawful, there's chaotic, and there's evil. So lawful and chaotic, and then there's good, neutral, and evil. So you can be lawful good, you can be chaotic good, you can be lawful neutral, chaotic neutral, lawful evil, chaotic evil.
Like for example, my goose is chaotic neutral.
Yeah,
I think you're evil. I think that's bullshit.
Yeah, so it's basically like
chaotic.
how it's like what your moral compass would be. Like, are you in it for yourself? Are you in it for some higher power or
It'd
for
be
something
like
else?
chaotic evil all the way, usually.
I would love that. I would want to be the only
Murder
lawful
hobo in the
person.
streets.
Well, Gibril is too, right? He's
Yeah, we
a
play with
man of the
Gibril.
cloth. He's
Yeah.
a minotaur of the cloth.
A minotaur of the cloth. Yes, that is our
Mr. Charge
our
or
cleric. Minotaur. Yeah, Mr. Charge.
Oh, shit, Lee, thank you.
Yeah, boy.
I'm a happy goose. Lee just subbed to me.
Oh,
Honk.
He honked.
Did you hear the honking and the stream? Or did it show anything? It doesn't matter. Let's move on.
Yes.
So you'd be chaotic evil.
I'd be chaotic.
But well
But
mannered.
you'd be a well-mannered chaotic evil like the supervillain.
My weapons would be nunchucks, but I call them my nunfucks because I give no nunfucks.
See, I don't know if they have nunchucks, but I think we could
What would
probably
you-
make it happen.
What is the time frame that we have to base this on?
I
So
You
think
guys talked
usual-
about Blockbuster at one point in videos, and this one.
Yeah, no,
Why
no,
you guys
no.
have to-
No,
Typical-
that was just me.
Typically, Dungeons and Dragons is some kind of combination between like medieval fantasy and maybe like old steampunk kind of ish.
Yeah.
There's some like zeppelins could be a thing, dirigibles, things like that.
It's like, wow.
If Zeppelins are a
Yeah.
thing, then nunchucks are
Yeah.
a thing.
Spider
nunchucks are
Boy,
things.
Spider
Yeah,
Boy
no,
says you're a chaotic good, apparently.
Ooh.
Chaotic good. No.
Chaotic good.
No, Nick rejects us. No.
He's who he wants to be. But
But
it's
that could be Nick, but not his character.
Yeah.
His character can
Yeah.
do whatever he wants.
what's
So
interesting because chaotic evil could still do good things, but just for bad plot reasons.
Dumb
So,
plot.
so it's like just because you're chaotic, just because you're lawful evil doesn't mean you need to go around killing every person you meet, right? It's very much like,
Yeah,
and that's
that
what's so
wouldn't serve
interesting.
your
Yeah, that's what's so interesting about it is lawful evil is you're all about manipulating people. So you might do very good things,
Okay.
but at the very end you're like, I'm not doing it for you, I'm doing it for me. That kind of stuff.
But back to the fucking Blockbuster comment that was made. I tried to like really RP it, and I was like, as like a gnome in like this world, I was like, what is this Blockbuster you speak of?
But then Dribble was like, what is a Blockbuster? And then it was like, it's a place where it's an old place where you could like rent videos. Like,
Yeah,
what is a video?
And then I made through my character, I was like, it must be an old god. Like,
no, but that, yeah, I know you did that. Both of you did that, and then I was forced to kind of explain it. So because of Greg and Dribble, I was forced to actually RP. So I was like, oh, it's like an Oculus or like like a camera obscura
thing, yeah.
I have to flush out my backstory.
Yeah, because everything you can use Deus Ex Machina and most of the shit just to explain yourself. You know,
Yeah,
so I was like, yeah.
And that's I liked the dynamic because we had you being goofy and we had me kind of sort of being serious but goofy like internally.
Yeah.
And then Dribble was just like straight up like straight character.
Straight RP.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
I love how like Dribble was a minotaur, like was a man of the cloth. He's very reserved and stuff. But in the end, like literally destroyed this thug with his horns. Like,
I'm a man of the cloth. Rips him apart. Pool of blood. He was a thief, though. He stole some crates. Fuck him. He needs to die. It's fine.
That's true.
Now, Spider Boy brings up a good thing. Lee is a good guy, but he's fucking crazy. I kind of like that whole mindset as well.
So you're chaotic good then.
See, it's like I can smile, but there's deviation behind it.
It's honestly it's pretty hard.
Okay,
I was gonna say, it's hard to be a character that's not yourself. Like you honestly need like acting talent. Like it's awkward.
Yeah.
Most people pick like generic character that is themselves, basically. Yeah. That's what I did the first multiple times I played. I was like, I want to be like a cool rogue guy who like goes his own way, but like is just a badass.
Sitting on a rock reading a journal.
Everyone does that.
And I think one of the important things is like you don't really have to decide these things up front. Like don't think that you have to spend like a week and a half like putting together an entire like elaborate backstory, like you're creating another person from scratch.
I did it in 10 minutes.
Yeah, like you just need to have some idea of like what you want to play. Like what does your character want to be? Like what do you want to do? Do you have any kind of backstory or like one of the best things to do is like give your character some flaws, right? Like what are the flaws of your character? Like, you know, oh, my character hates goblins and he's an alcoholic or whatever. Like,
for example, when Steve was playing the bartender, like the provisions officer, I forget.
Yes.
We ended up in taking a job to move some crates around, right?
Obviously.
And
that was boring I could think of.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. But so we were in there, and there was the other dudes in there who are up to no good, and one of them approached Jibril of all people. I was like, hey, do you want to, do some fuck shit? And you want to, like, steal some shit and everything? And because Jibril played to his character, because, like, no, I'm a man of the cloth, like I should kill you and stuff. So that kind of dictated where the situation went. So we ended up having to, go to town on these people.
Yeah, sometimes you should go through what your character would do with than what you would do.
It helps. It's not compulsory, but it definitely helps the story building as we go.
Sure.
And also gives the poor DM like less shit to deal with.
You can also be pretty vanilla though. I remember one run I tried to be like, I'm just gonna be like the young guy who's a blank slate who's gonna learn from his experiences. And because I was trying to we'd actually do a campaign and I would actually change as a character and have like an arc over the campaign. It didn't really work out because we never did anything other than interesting moral decision stuff. It was just like fight some spiders. It's like I didn't really grow as a character. But I mean I digress. But I tried to do something like the boring path. You can do stuff there too. But
yeah.
So
it's always interesting to talk and have those conversations. I think it was hilarious how I had that quest board with like 6 options on it, and like you guys just picked the most boring sounding one.
It was me. It
was you.
Greg did it. Yeah.
I thought for sure that was like a joke quest. I was like, he does not want us to pick this. We're definitely doing this. But then you pull up the map of the warehouse. I was like, fuck.
Because literally, Nick, it was either like Steve gave us a very attractive quest. Like I really want to do it. It was literally go to Flavor Town.
Okay.
But we went and moved crates instead.
But we killed some cool boys. That was fun.
It was good for me because I finally got to see a lot of D&D in one sitting. I got to see the RP side of it. I got to see the combat, which I did, and I also learned how to roll dice,
Yeah, it's its own thing.
It was fun. I didn't honestly. I thought this would just be an option. Like, I'm not gonna really enjoy this, but I had a fucking blast because how open-ended it is. You can do anything you want.
That's the thing. I've played the most, so I can tell you that the combat usually most DMs keep it the same, which is a shame because I think that's where it could be the most interesting. Like I remember one campaign, one of my other friends was doing it, and he was actually a pretty creative DM. He gave us a lot of environmental things, a lot of things that could mess with the combat in different ways, other than just like go up, attack him, go up, attack him, go up, attack him. He either kills you or you kill him. That's it.
Because like
there's like 3 goblins on like elevator, and there's 2 goblins you have to deal with. If you can get to the ones in the elevator and like cut the elevator, you can kill them all like in one sweet move.
Yeah.
So stuff like that was like far more interesting. It's like you're in a hallway. And there's an enemy. Now go kill the guy.
You must swing.
But that's where the interactive map, thanks to whatever program we used, was it Roll
20?
Roll 20.
Yeah, Roll
20. You put as soon as we were like, we're gonna kill these fools. Like it changed. The screen changed into like a board where we could place ourselves.
A battle map.
Yeah. And like when it was my turn, Pierre Mons, played by Greg, was behind a barrel, and there was a goon over there. So like I had to pick who was most likely to get attacked because the Minotaur was literally surrounded by 3 people. So I thought that barrel mattered, but no, it's a space.
It does.
It does.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. So the barrel provides cover.
Okay. So I made the right choice then by helping.
Remember I backflipped over it for no reason?
Yeah. 18 backflips.
Yeah, so in that scenario, the barrel would have provided cover, which would have given him a disadvantage on his attack.
But there were, like Greg was saying, like there were like cool things, like since that thug rolled low or whatever, and he swung his scimitar, it got stuck in the barrel. Like that, I thought that was like, oh, that's cool.
That's
I like
a flavor from the DM.
I think that's when I was like, this is gonna be awesome. This is gonna be fun. I can't wait to play again.
Yeah, that's where you can make it more creative and interesting.
Yeah,
and that's why again it goes up to the DM. Some of it is you definitely need to pre-plan it. You can't just improv everything, but
and even just the idea of like, if you're intimidating enough, if you roll high enough on your intimidation, maybe 2 of the thugs just flee.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, or something like that. Or when you rip one of them in half and then one of them tries to flee, but you chase him down and murder him in cold blood.
Wait, we kept him alive.
All right,
so he can explain why we murdered all those people.
So in the chat right now is the person who actually made my goose, my character.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, his name is Webb. He's the best moderator I've ever had.
Wow.
Webb, if you want to ask us questions about D&D, Webb is also a seasoned D&D person. Like, he knows.
Oh, shit. He knows where everything we're doing is wrong.
Just so you know, we cooked him and we ate him, so he's done.
Right out the gate.
Never happened.
His goose was cooked.
Never happened. Never happened.
I'm pretty sure we could overpower him and sell him to someone.
No, it's not gonna happen. Actually, Webb because Webb and I were supposed to do our own campaign a long time ago, and he always used to joke like, "I'm just gonna roll to pick you up and like football throw you across."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But anyway,
you gotta hang from the geese feet and fly across the chasm.
Oh, you don't want to do that to a goose. That's like if you hang me from the like, what's my neck closest to? Your balls. I'm just like clench deep.
Your balls.
Your balls.
Your balls.
Your balls, baby.
But that would be great. Like I would love to have actual like consequences. Like I've actually all the D&D stuff. I've never had anyone come close to dying. I've had one person like I'm at like 5 health, I'm at 4 health, I'm at 3 health. Like they could almost. There's a whole like knockdown mechanic that doesn't even kill you. Like you don't die.
Yeah.
So it's like
is that because
no
of the
DM?
That. Is that because of the DM wanting to progress the story with the full party, or
so when your character dies in Dungeons and Dragons, they're dead. Like you have to make it. You have to make it happen because
it fucks up everything a lot of the time.
That sucks.
Yeah.
So I've had when we play campaigns, and I'll talk to the guy after that. He's like, "Yeah, I actually was kind of like giving you little like advantages because I didn't want you to die, kind of thing." But at the same time, it's like it would be far more interesting to see someone like die or almost die, especially if like you're a goose and your team's trying to kill you or something. Like that'd be all the party splits and like suddenly Bella's on his own and we're trying to hunt him down.
Hans Schrader was busy foraging for beans
and you're
when his
rolling to like stay
compatriots.
concealed. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like I liked when Greg, you and I were doing a session with our wives and fiancés and whatnot, with Jacob, and like, you know, I was DMing that, and then we had like the final boss battle, and like that was a little more like harder than like typical fights, which was always nice.
Oh yeah, if you have like actual boss battle where you like have multiple stages, and you know, you can definitely throw in some fun magical effects, like, oh yeah, this will like completely incapacitate someone for the rest of the fight, whatever. Again, you can be creative, but I'm saying like, I would love to have like, oh, I could die at any moment, like at anything. You crit rolled, you almost died or whatever.
Yeah,
it makes it way more memorable.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think D&D is one of those things where it's hard to get past the, like, we have to get past the first few levels, and then all the doors start opening up, and it's like really interesting.
And that's the funny thing too. Some people, we played last time, the first mission, most of it was us in a bar talking to each other. Mm-hmm. So you can actually have more fun fucking around, making your character, and then actually like that initial interaction is like 3 hours, you know, it goes by no problem.
Yeah.
Wow, that was awesome.
Yeah. I think that's definitely important, because like the combat, you know, you don't get a lot of classes don't get a lot of spells until they're like level 2 or level 3. So like a lot of the times, like, you know, yeah, if you're just fighting constantly, then it's very much like it feels sort of grindy. Definitely having the RP elements mixed in is a lot of fun.
Especially with the mix of characters we had at hand.
No, yeah, we had a great group.
It was a great spectrum. Go ahead, Nick.
So can you not have like a necromancer of any sort or a druid style play? Like
Yeah,
the one that can,
Druid is a class.
but nobody can like bring anybody back from the dead.
You can.
Say like if
You can. So there are a couple different levels of spells. So there's a resurrection spell that can bring somebody back who just died, but they all have cost associated with
Can
them.
my bard do that?
I don't know the answer to that.
I know.
Maybe.
Dribble
I know.
can,
Mr. Charge can.
Mr.
Yeah. So the
Charge,
cleric
yeah.
can.
Jesus.
So I don't know if you can. But I mean, there'd be other ways to do that potentially if for whatever reason the cleric is the one who died.
DM shenanigans. You could be like an amazing cleric just happens to come by and he's like, again, you can be as goofy as you want, or it could be fun just to kill that character off and just make a new character. Like it's not that crazy.
Wait, so can you come back in the same campaign as a new character if you have a sheet handy?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah. So
I guess
so typically,
right.
yeah. So for instance, like I watch a couple D&D streams, and I won't give away any spoilers or specifics, but like, you know, on some of those streams, on some of those streams, their characters die, like legit die, and like, you know, they're gone for like 2 sessions, and then they come back as like a new character that the party happens across like in a new adventure or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
maybe
so
not
you
give them back immediately.
like you're not the same character. You have to roll a different character and stuff. Right. But like you're not just like done playing. Oh yeah, you're in our D&D group for 2 years and then your character died. See you later, fool.
What are the odds? I'm also a goose.
What are the odds?
Lone goose.
Lone goose. Yeah.
Long lost brother who's exactly.
I'm a doppelhonker.
Yeah. Oh god.
Weird.
Our stats are the same.
That would actually be funny if we just kept killing you like.
I just kept coming back because all these like a whole flock of geese. Like,
oh, my whole family is here.
That's the magical part of him. It's
I mean a gander of geese. Oh my god.
Embarrassing.
But final thing on the resurrection thing, like if you're gonna revive a character, there's like a huge cost associated with it. It's like, you know, 300 gold worth of diamond, or like, you know, and there's like, you know, within 24 hours of them dying.
So far we made 30 out of one fight.
Yeah, so I mean, I gave you guys so much more money than I should have, because so yeah, money is one of those things where it's like I want it to be fun, so I'm not gonna like, you know, oh, you only make like 2 copper from this thing, like you can afford 1 night stay at the tavern now. Make sure you write it all down so that, you know, when I overcharge you for everything, I'm not gonna do that. Like I dish out money left and right because it's like, sure,
it's
like
more
you're gonna
fun as a boundary. So
yeah,
when
inflation.
If an actual good item comes by, you can make it like 100 gold. So like you have to pool your money or something to make it actually worth it.
Yeah, and like I always want to encourage people to buy health potions and health potions are expensive. They're like 150 gold.
Why? I can heal y'all.
Yeah, we don't need that. Normally you don't have a healer. If you have a healer though.
Yeah.
Then we have 2.
or when you're out of spell slots after healing the entire day.
There's also the rest mechanic, which is kind of ridiculous because like a lot of scenarios is like you're investigating like a dungeon, so it's not like the dungeon's coming after you, so you could just leave, rest, come back, and it's like no problem.
There was one instance where we had that, we were about to get into the fight, and Greg, your character Pierre Mons, was just like,
Let's leave.
We can just leave. Like we can literally just leave right now.
No
I'm
one
like,
wanted to. I was like, all right.
Nope.
Yeah.
Like
Guess we'll kill
the
these
battle
guys.
sheet already was on the screen and everything.
leave,
Like,
yeah.
no, we're gonna kill
That
these
was
two.
so funny though.
You're not going anyway. Yeah. It's like, can you guys just like, wait 30 minutes? You know, I gotta digest a little bit. Roll my hit dice a few times. Yeah.
We did that once to him because he was explaining a quest and you just walked away. And I was
Oh
like,
yeah, I remember.
would-
It was we met
The
this
second
bartender,
bartender.
the second bartender.
Not
At,
the first one.
so first, keep in
Second
mind
bar.
that we got tired of the first tavern, so Steve had to literally make up another tavern outside because the Minotaur just left.
Yeah.
And
There was always another-
and then he mentioned this other tavern, and I was like, "Can we just please go to this other tavern? How do I roll to leave?" And we end up at the other tavern,
You walk.
and we speak to this entirely new bartender. And the bartender was like, I have a job for you. We also have a job board outside. And I just immediately piped up in Goose voice, like, I immediately leave to go look at the job.
Walks away.
And then Steve was halfway into explaining what the jobs, and I was like, I changed my mind. I'm going back inside. Maybe this bartender has something cool to say.
Yeah, that was
Which
a
he
fun
did,
session.
because we ended up moving crates,
It was just fun.
I guess.
Yes.
Hey, it was the first episode, all right? Can't go too-
Spider-Boy has a question, I assume, for the experts here. How long is an
me.
average campaign?
So it depends. An average session of D&D can go anywhere. If you really want to get a lot out of a session, it typically is like 2 to 4 hours long of like, RPing with your friends essentially. But like a campaign starts at level 1 and it can go all the way to level 20. So like there are campaigns that go on for like over 2 years, like of like, weekly sessions. It really depends on how long you want to drag it out. It's like, so there's 2 ways to level up in D&D. There's experience based, and in experience based, it's like every monster you kill has like experience points, very much like, games, like RP games.
Oh, God.
I don't like that because it's very much like, oh, I got 100 XP, I'm gonna level up right now.
Yeah. And it only
I like-
matters to that campaign as well. Like,
Yeah, or that character. It's like, how do we divvy up the experience? I like milestone based because then it very much is like, you level up after you kill the boss of
Stopping
that.
point too. Yeah.
Yeah, so think of it like arcs in a TV show, right? That's kind of the best way that I like to think about it. Is there's kind of like arcs, and you can gain like 1 or 2 levels per arc.
Well, your DM writes the whole thing, so the DM can write out. He can write out this thing that's like 20 hours long if he wants. But most people, they think about sessions. They're like, okay, I'll aim for 2 to 3 sessions, so there's some longevity. But a lot of times it's 1. It's like you're in this inn and you solve this murder mystery or whatever. Like you do it in 1 session, no problem.
I love.
I'll
that
say
stuff.
That's what most people do.
Yeah,
Cycle.
I think my advice for people that want to DM or get into that is to let your characters level up pretty quickly at the beginning, because being level 1 for 12 hours is not very fun. So like let them get to like level 3 or level 4 like at a decent pace, and then you can kind of go into like, it's like the typical thing, like the higher level you get, the longer it takes to level up, that kind of stuff, because there's more you can do with those levels, so you're still having fun like at those higher levels, like being able to do all the cool stuff.
So Webb says milestone based is so much more fun, and Retro says I once played with a bard so powerful he could make a dragon kill itself.
Interesting.
Fantastic.
Was it like an emo song? You just played
Yeah.
like a.
So I'm playing a bard in this campaign that we're doing. Can
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
this?
And you're gonna play like Kickapoo or something, and the dragon's just gonna kill itself.
Yeah,
Yes.
you could
Drowning in my skin.
I mean, you could do all kinds of things to a dragon. You could make a dragon your friend. You could turn a dragon into like you could turn a dragon. You could turn a dragon into another goose.
No, I'm the only goose in this story.
For now.
I'm not staying.
It could
for
be a
that.
Yeah.
duck.
No.
A duck.
Nah,
It could be
nah,
a
nah,
goose.
It's
There
coming
was
hot.
there was this I heard this story about this DMD campaign. I don't remember where I heard it from. It could have been like a podcast or something, but this one of the characters, he had like this pet like mouse or whatever, and then like just randomly like in one of the like campaigns like later on, he just decided to cast dispel magic on his mouse for no apparent reason, and it turned into a dragon.
Yes.
Whoa!
Like the entire, so like there's all kinds of crazy bullshit that can happen.
if you want to.
Yeah, it's just like random pet mouse becomes a fucking dragon.
again, it's a lot of it's the DM because the DM
And it killed them all. No.
The DM has to either one plan all this out and have like cool small little things that people can hopefully discover on their own by just random occurrence, or it has to try to like narrate everything and have people force them into certain paths or whatever. And again, thinking on your feet, I think is huge because a lot of people want to do their own thing. A lot of people want to just like, what else is there other than this? Is there anything else?
Yeah.
Kind of see it, and then it's like, oh shit, I didn't think about other buildings in this town.
Exactly. Like for me,
I remember I asked that random guy about the crates, and I was like, "Oh, do a backflip in front of him." So he was like, "He applauds." Like what do you want?
The fun thing about playing a character such as mine that is so off the ball, like just being a goose, was that it depends on how okay the DM is with it. Because my character is like literally built to push an envelope.
Yeah.
And if the DM isn't okay with that, then you just like you're forced to kind of play a static.
Yeah.
And
it was funny too because Steve was starting off so epic. He was like, "It's midwinter and the snow is falling down on the like." He was like, which was great. Again, I would much rather have that like intense experience and then you satirize it. You immediately go to like goofy scenario. It's a great cut from that serious reality. You need that. You can't have goofy shit all the time where it's like it's boring.
Well, it's good because you can paint a very detailed picture but still have shenanigans going on.
Oh yeah. It was just so funny because you did this long intro and then was like, seduce the wench.
I immediately, because I had no idea how to play the game. Greg caught it, like in the chat in the game, like while you were going on with this like other world building stuff. I was like trying to like roll to like seduce the wench, like the chat.
Yep.
That was really funny. That's funny. That's
DM's
literally
worst
what
nightmare.
most people do. I think most people, and you're like, I want to fuck someone in this imaginary game.
Well, I think definitely like, and I definitely know this. We'll go into this in just a second. But we all watched sort of the first part or an entire episode of like a D&D podcast / series of our choosing. But one thing I've noticed, like watching some of these series, is you really kind of hit a stride. Like it always starts off awkward. It always starts off like goofy or something. But then you really kind of hit the stride, whether it's like, your goofy character is now like, you still have a developing character, even if it's a goofy character. And like, like things happen and stuff like that. And definitely with the goose thing, it's always like, it's a weird line to ride because it's like, I don't want to have every single person you interact with, like the first thing out of their mouths is, "Oh, a talking goose," because that'll just get old.
Could be funny.
It's like,
But my goose spoke like many languages, including Infernal.
You have
Infernal goose,
Yeah.
There's a range of like, why is that goose talking to me? You could have like a drunkard being like, "Oh, that's normal,"
See,
or you can do both.
my ex-wife.
This is why I kind of wanted my goose to also be a rogue, right? Because I could just be a goose in the background, not doing anything. If you guys get into trouble, I'm like, I'm out there. Like, right?
Every scene has a goose in the background, just kind of like peeking out from a different angle, like, where's Waldo?
And you can also do like, you can have a random be like, I've actually seen a talking goose before, and then say nothing else, and just like move on.
Another one, third one this week. Yeah,
I don't remember why.
If you want to do it.
I don't remember why my goose spoke Infernal. It was something that Webb and I made.
I think bards get 2 extra languages, I think.
Oh, so I guess like Infernal like just seemed attractive.
Yeah, I mean you can. Well, so the idea is you get to decide in your character backstory why your character speaks Infernal.
My character backstory has nothing to do with anything with my characters right now.
Do you even know your backstory? Have you not revealed it yet?
Maybe you watched a movie. You played the entire Diablo series at Blockbuster.
Yeah, it's in the Goons and Dragons
Therefore,
channel.
you know Infernal.
Yeah. Just basically a lot of honking.
Yeah.
Her rogue goose, he's insane.
Yeah, but that's the idea. Is you get to go as deep or as shallow as you want, and like there's no wrong answer.
Yeah,
and that's why I'm excited for Nick to pick a character because I think like he could definitely do whatever he wants because we have like just a vacant spot. We have the goofy character, we have the serious character, we have the me trying to fuck with everyone character. So you can literally do anything.
Nick is literally going to be a car from Rocket League. that I get to ride in.
Probably the Octane.
Again, you could be a person who thinks he's a car.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Fine.
What makes me a good demo man?
But can we come to that, Nick? What would you like your character to be?
Racing class.
It'd have to be. I thought of like a couple scenarios. So obviously you got your Kung Fu Monk Panda with the Kung Fucks of nunchucks.
The nunfucks.
There's like a lizard necromancer who summons his companions back from the dead with fire.
Okay, that's a little closer to.
And then we got something like
They do spider.
I can't remember what the other one was. I've had a couple of stupid ass thoughts.
I think you could do literally anything, but the most important thing is your personality, because your personality is going to show through in your choices and in your character and in your interactions.
You can literally be a demo man.
You remember in Borderlands
without the weapons, obviously.
You remember in Borderlands 2 when they played Tiny Tina's DLC?
Oh, that'd be interesting.
I could be like Brick. I punch them.
There you go. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
I just punch everything.
We have a friend. I mean, we come before it. And Jacob, when he plays with us, he plays as a priest who he just constantly tries to. Have you heard of the goddess, whatever her name is? He's constantly trying to like convert people, which is hilarious. Like, no matter the situation,
the shows up at your doorstep, like, you know.
Jacob's so funny, man. Like that was
Savior.
He plays it so straight, which is great.
Yeah. He's like, what are those? Jehovah's Witness.
Oh, Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Except more goofy. Like
It's like it's he tries to be as socially awkward as possible with it.
Exactly.
It's fantastic.
Oh wait, Spider has a good idea. He could be a drunk pirate.
A drunk pirate would be cool.
There you go.
I'd have two hooks.
Swallow.
Two hooks for hands instead of just one.
Yeah.
I'm good with my hands when I have them.
Terrible at serving coffee.
I'm worthless now.
Shake on it.
Yeah, make him like a clock maker or something like that.
Make it.
You need like your hands.
Extensions.
Like Geppetto.
And we'll just use him as like a punching bag. Like he'll have no actual like combat ability.
Good, because that would take all the abuse that I'm getting as a goose off of me.
Yeah.
No.
We'll
If
see.
you pick on the new guy coming in, it's called hazing.
I'm not gonna pick on you. We're just gonna use you as a punching bag. It's the same.
That's hazing.
You can, the thing is, Nick, you can also roll acrobatics and dodge and shit and do all this other stuff.
See, I could barrel roll.
You can barrel
away
roll.
from
You can barrel roll.
barrel roll.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I'm excited for when we play because now you have to because now we've talked about it one time.
Yeah, so we're gonna do another a one-shot session. So again, like going back to the question about how long is a campaign? A campaign could be one session, right? That's what we're gonna do. It's called a one-shot. Very easy. Like, you know, I could just make shit up off the spot, right? Like, you know, your 4 adventurers are in a town, people got kidnapped, whatever, blah blah blah.
Should be some plan. I'm not a fan of brief. Like it's like okay. I'm gonna ask everyone this question, and I really hope you side with me on this one.
Okay.
You know Rick and Morty? They have that episode where they do only improv.
I haven't seen it.
Oh well, never mind.
It's not as good.
It's terrible. It's so bad. I hate it. It's
So
improv. It's like improv.
It's not
It's one, it's a skill, and two, you have to be like a master for it to be like okay.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's like just thinking logically. It's like if you think about this beforehand, you can make it better. It's like there's no advantage to thinking on your feet, really.
Yeah. So I guess what I meant was it's not like if you're just making one session, it's not that bad. Because I remember when I was doing the previous sessions we did together, I was planning for like 3 or 4 sessions, right? And I had all these things like put together. It was my first time DMing, so I came up with so much detail for everything. And like, you know, I was like, oh crap, like we're gonna get this far in like the first session, and it's gonna like take us all the way out to here. We didn't even get through like a fifth of what I had planned for the first session because that's just because everything takes longer because everyone's like talking and like all the stuff's going on, and it's great. It's not like we're not making progress. It's just it's never as fast as you think it is, which is a good thing.
Sure. But I would argue, if you're doing one session, you can actually make it more focused and be more like, work out every detail.
You're not going to start in a bar. No. You're going to start falling.
In a fucking bar.
You're going to start falling. It's gonna be Fortnite. We're just gonna be falling.
A bus with nothing but an umbrella. What are you doing?
Till the towers.
Roll initiative.
Stay on the bus.
Let me ask you guys, what do you guys see my character being?
Well, like I said, I think I liked your first idea when you said you were going to be like an evil dickhead.
I want you to be a sociopath.
Yeah,
like
I think
super
with my character.
But like super calm and collected, like almost like multiple personality, like super calm and collected on the front, like no emotion at all.
So
and then like
when somebody shows up, kill him.
I just want you to say like an evil child. Who no one really thinks much of, but really can fuck you up.
Like the head twists sideways, like
Yeah.
Or like
You
that
didn't
super,
Mhm.
like that emo child that's like, there's no meaning in anything.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
not emo
You
child.
don't be a child though. Maybe just be like a weirdo
child.
who's
Yeah.
older.
Just staring at a wall with no artwork
Yeah.
on it, just like.
But I think it honestly doesn't matter because like I said, I think we got the core group down, and it's your first time, so I think it's important just for you to experience it. You don't have to
Yeah.
like try to throw yourself into like the deep end of like I want to be a complex
Okay.
mental whatever
Can I be-
character.
Can I be a dragon?
There's Dragonborn, yeah,
There's dragon. Yeah, you could be part dragon. You could have dragon blood
the lizardman.
flowing through you.
Dragon falls on my enemy's faces. Let's go.
You do that. Do that. That's what my friends did. Who was like kind of like the more like normal person we invited to D&D. He was like not a nerd, and he was just like, I want to just like kill shit and like be awesome. And I was like, he was a Dragonborn. He was a pretty boring character, but he was fun to play with still though. We were just like messing
Oh, you
with him all the time.
Yeah, and I think definitely like, you know, there's like those people that are like, I'm gonna spend so much time and like make my character super awesome so I can fucking one-shot everything, and then it's like, okay, well, killed it.
Can you actually do that though? Like, I think the one question that I'm not clear on is how powerful can you be, or are there constraints to your character sheet?
So I mean, there's definitely constraints to your character sheet, and so I'll say every enemy you fight has a CR or challenge rating associated with it. And I use this really cool website called Cobalt Fight Club. That it's basically a website that lets you kind of do matchups. So you basically say, hey, I've got 4 level 1 adventurers here. Let me throw them against like some kobolds or like some wolves and see how many wolves they can take. And it's like, you know, if you add 3 wolves, it's like, okay, well, that's an easy fight. 4 wolves is a moderate fight.
Okay.
And then 5 wolves is difficult. So it's kind of that kind of scaling.
Right. Okay. Because I was like, if you could be anything, you could just be this omnipotent.
No,
Goose,
no.
for
Matt-
example,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it scales up.
Yeah. Does that
all
depend on the campaign, or is there a universal D&D kind of?
There are
Uh,
rules.
So there is a set of creatures that have predetermined CRs. You can always scale down and scale up and come up with new creatures and
Wolf
things
ratings.
like that. But so like the stats are set because that's how the math happens in the game. But what those stats belong to is very flexible.
Okay.
If
See,
that
that's what great
answers
thing.
your
We should
questions.
do more stuff with it because again, in all the DM I've ever done, no one's ever done anything in stream with the enemies. No one's ever done anything. I mean, sometimes with the boss fights, like there's some kind of puzzle you have to solve, whatever. It's basic shit. But I would love, like when we were murdering those guys in the warehouse, for them to be like, "I have
Make
a
no
family
mistake,
to
we were
feed."
Asher's
And
murder.
now-
It wasn't a fight. It wasn't
we
a
were
fight.
making-
Must
we were
be
making-
for his life.
and we were making jokes about it, but like it would be fun if the actual enemy was like you
family.
dad killing them or something. Like there
We
was
have 2 kids
something
to
there.
feed.
You
Others
tried to
like, I
inject
would-
something like that into it. Just like, no,
Yeah.
no, there's no provider for your family anymore. So that was fucking sick.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah. All right, guys. So we've got so much more that we could talk about, but I'm going to go ahead and kind of wrap it up here because we can always go into so much more detail on this in a future episode. But thank you guys all for tuning in. Let's go ahead and around the room and sign off, everyone. I am Steve, aka Blacken. Catch me on Twitch, BlackenX27.
Hey,
Go ahead.
DesperadoGPJ, find me on Steam. Smash the subscribe button.
Go ahead.
All right, Mr. Nunfucks, please go.
I'm Nick. Twitter at Nicholas_Delk and LeetDemon on Twitch. Doing a giveaway tomorrow. Steam gift cards and TF2.
Whoa, I'll be there.
Whoa!
Oh, all right. I'm Dayaan, aka Bella, and aka swiftheart, aka Bella _ Swift.
aka Hawk Schrader.
Because of a misclick and a snafu earlier with my mic, this episode is the first one that we've done live as well on my channel, Twitch _
What an accomplishment.
Twitch.tv/Bella_Swift. I think what we should probably do. I like this. I like answering questions like that, kind of supplement what we're talking about.
You're now seeing it pre-edited and post-edited.
Exactly. Whether I'll return to actual streaming is still a question that I can't answer right now. But every Friday, 7 p.m., 7:30 p.m. EST, 8 o'clock PST,
Back in
EST, we'll be doing our podcast live from now on. Y'all follow in. Y'all can ask us questions about anything, shout outs, whatever. This episode will also be on YouTube in the next like 45 minutes. You can also find all of our content at right down there, Twitter at officialGNSD, for all past episodes and everything like that, which will be uploaded to my YouTube channel temporarily until we actually get our own official Goon Squad YouTube. Thank you so much to all these old amazing faces. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have been the Goon Squad, and you have been fucking great. Mwah.
Bye.
Love you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.